Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dela widyastuti. I am from a class. I would like presentation about background of the study and identification of the study in our journal. The first is background of the study. English as international language is used all over the world. People in some countries speak English as their first language, and some of them use it as their foreign language. Nowadays, the use of English has increased in our country, especially to face the globalization era. That motivate every people learning English with the aim that Indonesia people can communicate with another from overseas by using international language. English is a tool to communicate both oral and written. Besides that, English serves as access information and a means to foster interpersonal relationship, exchange information, and enjoy their aesthetic of language in British culture. Aesthetic of language in British culture. Before teaching English language, we should have known the element of language such as grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. The third element be fundamental to teaching English, so that when we are teach about English, we easy to explain to our student. Vocabulary is the most fundamental things that should be controlled by a person in learning English in a foreign language for our student and the people in Indonesia. How can one express of language if student does not understand the vocabulary of the language, especially if it is a learner of foreign language, so that the vocabulary of the language is something that absolutely needed by the language learner. To improve the vocabulary of the student should have many exercises in addition to extending the exercise in increased vocabulary can also be done by using media, so the students are not bored. Animation picture is able to offer a more pleasant learning media. Animation picture is able to attract attention, increase student motivation, and to proving more memorable. Everything helps in the process reduction of cognitive load of student reserve something a subject matter of or message or you want to convey by educator. Related of improving the vocabulary of the study in English language learning. Next is identification of the study. Identification of the study in our journal in relation to the background above. The researcher tries to formulate the research problem into the research question as follows. The first is, most of the students were possessive because they are lacking of the vocabularies. The second is, the student vocabulary is still poor although they seem having some idea in their mind, but they could not express their idea because they have lack of vocabulary. Next, most students will lack of confidence when speaking English because of lack of vocabulary. Next, the main problem is students difficult in the memories of the word because the teacher technique used in teaching vocabulary is not interesting in the monotones. The last is the teacher has used various strategies in teaching vocabulary, but most students still have low ability to master vocabulary. I think enough. I'm sorry for my mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aas Mutiara Aningrum. I would like to explain about types of vocabulary related study and research design. The first types of vocabulary. The linguist David Wilkins said that without very little grammar can be conveyed, and without vocabulary, nothing conveyed. One of the largest types of vocabulary is reading vocabulary. This is a person's reading vocabulary is all the words he or she can recognize when reading. There are three other types of vocabulary, that is, listening vocabulary, writing vocabulary, and speaking vocabulary. The first listening vocabulary is a person's listening vocabulary is all the words he or she can recognize when listening to speech. And then writing vocabulary is a person's writing vocabulary is all the words he or she can employ in writing. And the last, speaking vocabulary is a person's speaking vocabulary is all the words he or she can use in speech. And then relate to study. The research about Bingogen has done by Retno that was improving student vocabulary using vocabulary Bingogen strategy. This research explained about the application of Bingogen in teaching vocabulary. And the last is research design. The design of research used by the researchers in this study is classroom action research. According to Harmar, action research is the name given to a series of procedures teachers can engage in, either because they wish to improve aspects of their teaching, or because they wish to evaluate the success of certain activities and procedure. I think enough from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anggarda Paramita. You can call me Anggi. I want to explain about the conclusion about the use of animation picture to improve student vocabulary of 7th grade at MTS TPI Sawit. And in the study of vocabulary in 7th grade is background of the study and identification of the study, limitation of the study of vocabulary. Many of the problems should be solved as described in the identification of the study, but the ability of the researcher the study in limited to see the result of this use animation of pictures to improve students' vocabulary of 7th grade student at MTS TPI Sawit Seberang. And then theoretical review definition of vocabulary is mastery is an important thing in order to master 4 major skills such as speaking, reading, writing, and listening. According to Wilkins estate in Thornbury, that is without grammar very little can be conveyed. Without vocabulary nothing can be conveyed. Moreover, learning vocabulary of foreign language presents the learner with several challenges. And the conclusion is, from the explanation above, it could be conclude the result of the research shows that the application of picture media could improve the students' achievement in English vocabulary. The result of the research of the study show the use of the picture can contribute to improvement of the vocabulary student vocabulary mastery. And in our study, source of the data is the source of data in this research is from what the researchers gets during the research. In a qualitative research, Search of primary data are the actions and the words, and additional data like the written data, document, animation, picture of statistical data. In quantitative research, search of primary data are the information of explanation which is expressed in the form of number or figures. The researchers collect the search of the data related to the research from observation and tests which in conduct in very cycle. I think that it's enough. I'm sorry to the mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And the last one is to know the implementation of animation picture to improve student vocabulary of 7th grade student in TPI Sawit Seberang. The next material is significance of the study. The findings of the research are expected to be useful for the teacher, student, and research. It is expected as the result of the study. For the English teachers, the result of the study is expected to be useful for English teacher as one of for the alternative technique to teach vocabulary. 2. For the student, the result of the study is expected to be useful to make the student more interested and motivated in improving their vocabulary. 3. For the readers who learn English, the result of this study is expected to be useful for those who are interested in conducting in-depth research related. The next is definition of vocabulary. Vocabulary mastery is an important thing in order to master four major skills such as speaking, reading, and listening. According to Wilkins, as stated in Thorndike, without grammar, very little can be conveyed. Without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed. Moreover, learning vocabulary of foreign language presents the learner with several challenges. Understanding the foreign language between the form and the meaning of words, and discriminating the meanings of closely related words. Learning vocabulary needs a process in order to make an effective process. The learner should be in the effective condition of acquiring vocabulary mastery. As explained in the background of the study, vocabulary takes such as a fundamental role in the mastering English as foreign language. Well, there are some definitions of vocabulary proposed by some experts. Thorndike mentioned is definition of vocabulary as the total number of words in a language, and vocabulary as a list of words with their. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ayunda Shintya. I'm from 6A class today, and now I would like to present about the limitation of the study. Limitation of the study. Many of the problems that should be solved as described in the identification of the study. But by the ability of the researcher, this study is limited to see the result. They use animation pictures to improve student vocabulary of 7th grade student at TPI Sawit Seberang. The next formulation of the study. The researcher formulate the research question as follows. 1. Can animation picture to improve students' vocabulary of the first grade student at MTS TPI Sawit Seberang? 2. How is the improvement of animation picture to improve student vocabulary of 7th grade student at MTS TPI Sawit Seberang? And the last, how is the implementation of animation picture to improve student vocabulary of 7th grade student at MTS TPI Sawit Seberang? The next material is objective of the study. The objective of the study as follows: to know animation picture can improve student vocabulary of 7th grade student at MTS TPI Sawit Seberang. Second one is to know the improvement of an animation picture to improve student vocabulary of 7th grade student at MTS TPI Sawit Seberang.